Hi, this is Danielle, and again I am in Los Angeles, and I'm gonna make this video to answer a question everybody asks me: how did I start this career? If you read my bio maybe on the website www.learnlacefront.com, then you know that I have 11 children. As of now, they're ranging from 29 years old to 9 years old, 6 sons, 5 daughters, same father, same mother, biological children, no twins. So people are surprised and think, like, with so many kids, how was I able to get ahead of myself, build a career for myself, and be able to train all the people as I've trained today, up to several hundreds of people within the last 15 years. So it's a wonderful career, and I love teaching wig making. And people ask me, how did you start it? So here I am making this video to tell you that when I started, I was having a very hard time financially. You know, you can imagine, with all the kids, and we're Jewish Orthodox, so we send them to private schools. Everything was expensive, life is expensive in America. And therefore, I was looking for a side income. And I found in a Jewish newspaper called the Jewish Press, I found an ad, someone would teach ventilating. And what is ventilating? I had no clue. I'm French, so vent in French is wind. So I thought, you know what? It's probably some type of blow drying the wig or something like that. So I went up to that person. I called up, I came up. She taught me how to put the hair. It's a very small needle. It's called hand-tied ventilating. And she taught me how to do it. And back then, the wigs were not as realistic looking as this one, for example. So that lady was selling them. They were ready made when she would get them. And she wanted me to add a very soft inner hairline, what she used to call it, so that the front would look, more realistic. Because of course, the very front of the wig is really the giveaway. So you have to make sure the front is realistic. And back then, the wigs, of course, were not as beautiful and natural looking as they are now. So that lady taught me, and she was paying me $10 an hour, which was a lot of money for me back then. And I was very excited to do it, and I loved working with hair. Then later on, I moved back to Israel, and we came back a second time to live in America, and I knew that I need to make extra income, because there's no way we can make it on one salary. We have to have extra income. And I thought to myself, oh wow, that lady with the ventilating needle, oh, she taught me how to add hair. If I know how to add hair, I can probably repair wigs, because that's how you repair wigs, right? Because when I was being trained by her and working by her, I was wearing wigs that I would get from the beauty supply store, like $40 wig, $50 wig, something like that. And came to a point that I needed a small repair on my wig, and she told me, what's the problem? You can just add a weft in the back or whatever it was, and I did it. She showed me how to do. And here I have to get a income, and I thought, well, I know how to add wefts in the back, and I know how to ventilate hair in the front if the wig needs repair. So I can probably do repairs. So I purchased $120 a few very small strands of European hair, from blonde to medium brown, which are average colors in the Jewish community. And I moved to Baltimore, and I put an ad, all wig repairs, all shaitel repairs. I call it the shaitel clinic. And here we go. I just jumped into the water. The first lady that brought me her wig, I remember it was after Memorial Day, I think, Memorial weekend, or maybe 4th of July. And she had had a barbecue the day before, and she was flipping the burgers, and the whole front of her wig burned on top of the barbecue. So the hair was really dried and all, disgusting. And she asked me, can you fix it for me? And I tell her, of course, not a problem. So she left the wig by me, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's leaving me the wig. She trusts me to leave the wig by me? And that wig is worth like $1,200, $1,400. It's all European hair, gorgeous, custom wig. So I thought, okay, what do I do? After she left, I looked at it, and the hair in the front, most of the hair on the bangs was completely burnt. So, okay, I need to remove that hair and put all new hair. How do I do that? So I asked my husband, how do you think I can remove the hair from the wig? And he's a guy, right? So he's like, oh, well, take a razor blade and shave it off. And I'm like, wait a minute, you know? I have little kids, I have babies crawling on the floor and toddlers running around. I don't want to start a business with razor blades on my table. Oh, no. So what would be a safe way to cut that hair? And I thought, oh, I know something safe to cut. I went and get my baby scissors, the baby nail scissors, you know, they're rounded. And I start lifting up the hair from the wig and cutting and lifting up and cutting, lifting up and cutting right on the cap. And sure enough, all the hair that was old burnt, I call it like snakes because it goes in different direction when it's old burnt or old and used. So everything was out and I had space to work on. And now it's time to do my magic and put the hair, of course I matched the best color, and put the hair on with my little needle. And I want to tell you, the whole time I was doing that, my knees were shaking hard. I was like so nervous. Like I thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know, I'm not sure I know what I'm doing, but I kept going and going and going. And when I finally finished, it looked beautiful. And I took a brush, I remember brushing it, looking at it by the window, daylight, and it looked fabulous. And I called up my husband, I said, what do you think? And he's like, wow, this is amazing. So I called up the lady and I told her what I always told people when I repair wigs. Your wig is ready and it looks beautiful. And the lady came and picked it up. And that is the beginning of my story. Of course, she sent me friends and I had advertisement out and more people coming and bring me wigs. And I have repaired hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of wigs. But what I did is every single wig that would come my way, I would stop everything, look at it, analyze it, and get all the information I could from that wig. So I would just put it on the scale to see how much hair is in it, look at the knots, what type of knots did they do, single knot, double knot, what type of foundation, what is falling apart, what is good, what is sturdy, what is better, what is long term, what just broke, what is going to break, and what is the next thing that's going to break. And I would just capture all the information I could from every single one of them. And that's how I learned. And I love the challenge of having to guess for each wig, what do I do? How can I make it better? And I always had an eye out into, if one day I make my wigs, what would be the best way to make it? And it was hard, it was a journey. It was very satisfying because of course I was making good money and that was a huge help for my family, for my children. If my children needed a new pair of shoes, here we go. Put food on the table, bags of food, dentist appointment. I was able to pay like every single thing that was hard for us when we were so financially limited. I was finally able to do, and the way that it happened, because I knew how it was to have it hard, I really appreciated being able to do it, you know. And I know it's not from me, it's all from God, and just God opened the door for me and I walked in, you know. And I loved it. I always loved hair, and even as a little girl, every time before my birthday, my paternal grandmother would ask me, so Danielle, what do you want for your birthday gift? What do you want as a birthday present? And I would say like, I want a doll with long hair. And I always got the doll. I remember the smell of the doll was so yummy, this plastic smell of new dolls. And after like a week of brushing the hair, I would go get the scissors and chop up the hair, chop it up. And then for the following year, I'd get another wig with another doll, with long hair. So I was always buying hair to repair the wigs. And I had to develop a nice resource of hair sellers for the European hair. That hair comes from Russia and is very expensive. So I was buying the hair wholesale, and sometimes I was buying retail. Retail is super expensive. I don't like to buy anything expensive. Wholesale was much cheaper, but was not so reliable in terms of consistency of the quality. So I was rotating between the two, and it took me a very long time to be able to have a good source of suppliers for the hair. And of course, most of us know that the wigs are not made in America, you need to send them out. And I had to find really good and reliable companies overseas that would do the work for me. So the way it works is that I would buy the hair from Europe and send out for the labor in the countries where they do good labor at a good price. And it was a real ordeal, a lot of trial and error, because even if I know of a company that's good, that doesn't mean they really are. Sometimes they're not honest, sometimes they get your expensive hair